Yeah. Oh, you mean the noise?
Yeah.
All right, g'day everyone. I'm here with a bit of a different one today. I'm here with Matt in Thailand, and I think we connected. I saw you. My mother actually showed me an interview you did with Alicia Brashay, who's obviously I got mutual connections with, and that was pretty. That was pretty interesting. Mum's like yelling at me, going, "Come listen to this guy! Come listen to this guy!" And yeah, and then you end up being in Phuket, and I'm over here now. So
yeah,
I don't know where to start. Okay, tell us what you're doing first, and then we'll go back. Maybe we'll do a little bit of your story about. So Matt's a former Victorian Police officer, really qualified diver,
yeah,
business owner.
Yeah, done a few things, mate. Yeah, but it's probably the healing space where I enjoy the most. But
we'll get into that too. Yeah.
The cooking, I love cooking and stuff like that. So
I saw your Thai meal the other day.
Yeah,
what were you cooking?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Pack it up.
Yeah, pack it up.
Yeah, it's basil and chili and stuff. But yeah, there's a heap of stuff that I like to do. But speaking about your parents, though, mate, I've never come across people like it. Your mum
Don't say that.
No, your mum and dad, the energy that comes off them, mate, they are absolutely brilliant. Really brilliant.
No, I'm lucky to have that.
Yeah,
yeah.
No,
so we're coming to Matt's bar a couple of times. We're out now, which is it's accommodation and bar.
Yeah.
It's beautiful what you've done. So we come here to watch some Matildas and been very hospitable.
Yeah, the first game was awesome. The game last night, mate, they got smashed. So yeah, that happens.
So we end up staying a little bit longer because it ended up raining, which is a good excuse for Dad to have a couple more beers. All right, so let's go. We'll go to the police force. So why did you want to go in the police force first?
I don't know,
because you're pretty small, bloke.
Yeah, I am, mate. I'm short, mate. I'm about 5'5", I think, at a stretch. So
5'5".
Yeah.
So maybe tell us why you got into the police force.
Yeah. Well, I went into the police force. Look, I had this. Obviously, when I was young, I just wanted to. I had this thing about helping people.
Yeah? Maybe go a little bit closer, just for the audio.
Yeah. I had this thing about helping people. I wanted to. I don't know. I thought by being a copper, like I had this feeling inside that you know what it's like when you want to help people, and to me at that time, that was what I thought was the best way to sort of help people, was to take on a role like that where I could actually affect people on a day-to-day basis. But I think you soon learn when you're in a job like that it's not about helping people. It's more about the daily grind of the reality.
But it's interesting that was your reason for going in. Do you think a lot of other cops back then were of the same motive? That's why they got into it?
Yeah, you usually find most people that join the job, like if you ask them honestly, they'll tell you that they're there because they want to help people. They want to make a difference in people.
I think, and like when you joined, there's probably from that generation that people had a much more positive image, like of what you grew up and what the police were. Obviously, there was always bad cops, but do you want to talk about like when you started? Because you were doing, it was a lot more community policing.
When we first started, you did obviously the police academy for 20 weeks. And then we, in the first 2 years while you're on probation, you actually had to do a course through Deakin University that was all community-based policing. And you had to go back and you had to do what we call retention. You had to do that 4 times, where you went back to the academy for a week at a time. And again, that was all community focused. So the whole point of the job and your probationary period was going through a time where you were learning how to become closer to the community. Like if they had issues or they had a problem with this guy or that guy, you could actually help them out, try to speak to community leaders to develop a way to work with them instead of coming out with a hard stick. Was actually how to get along and work your way with a community rather than against it.
So what period was that when you came in?
That was 99.
So would you reckon that was? Do you want to talk about the changes that happened? So you lasted from 99 till what, 2010?
2010, yeah.
So you're in there for 11, 12 years. Yeah. When did that? I think you said around the time Big Kev came in.
Yeah, Big Kev. As you know, most of us that were in the Victorian Police, we refer to the Christine Nixon as Big Kev. Big Kev being the big old jovial guy that used to do a lot of telemarketing. So,
But so you were also that was in the period that coincided. Obviously, 9/11 happened in 2001
Yeah.
too, and this is when they jacked up police.
yeah. Well, when 2001, yeah, September 11th, there wasn't a major focus on the security. Like it didn't happen straight away. Like I would have thought with something like that everything would have changed really, really rapidly. But it took a period of about 3 to 4 years before you started to see things being implemented on a day-to-day basis that really,
So I don't know. Do you remember Emergency Service Minister Tim Holding?
Yeah.
So I done a bit of research on him, and he's one of the key people behind the Strong City Summit.
Yeah,
they held in Melbourne, but he actually done a lot of training. He went over to the State Department in America after 9/11, and to Israel and stuff. And this was, like David Icke was talking about years that they were trying to, they brought in the public service officers on the trains and stuff, and they were trying to make this top down to all the posse comitatus that the cops become the military. So because I heard you talk about how they changed everything from the lettering of the police, the uniform, the shoes, all to like change. Were you noticing that at the time?
Well, you
particularly the old cops.
Yeah, you could notice it at the time. But going back to that point, right? September 11 in 2000. Can you remember what happened on that day?
September 11, the year before.
Yeah,
in Australia.
Yeah, in Melbourne. Melbourne was the epicenter of
September 11.
The S11 protest. You can't remember the World Economic
Forum protest? Yeah, I reckon I was in Melbourne.
That was September 11, the year before.
Was it really? Yeah. There you go.
If you go through and have a look, and that was the day when the police actually broke the lines and went through and broke up the protest.
I remember that. Yeah.
1 year to the day before the September 11 attacks. So.
Yeah, shit. So how did it? Because it sounded like you were like on the end of when things were just starting to change when you were coming in, right?
Yeah.
So,
like it was things like we were talking about last night. Things like your shoes. When we walked the streets on the beat, we had to wear like lace up shoes, like school shoes that you wore as a kid.
Yeah.
Because we weren't allowed to wear specific boots for walking because they were seen to be too aggressive. Things like capital letters on a police station. The letters had to be like a capital P, obviously, and then lowercase OLICE. Now you do get the stuff where people talk about the styles manuals of how things are written and everything, but the proper way of spelling police was written that way because if it was written in all capitals, it would seem to be a really aggressive form of saying police. And police cars.
So it's in all capitals now, obviously. And that obviously means that's like corporation as well, right?
And does it actually spell in English? But that's a whole different thing to go down, I suppose. But yeah, it's I was there like when the uniform changed. As soon as Big Kev, old Nixon, come in, she changed the style of the uniform, like baseball caps. But what they did is what any corporation do. When a corporation takes over something, they'll make it easier. They'll give, say, the workers an easy run. They'll make it easier on some ways, but then they'll come in with a bigger stick and make it more difficult in other ways.
Yes, what's the example of that?
Okay, so she come in and she gave us, baseball caps that everyone loved. You don't have to wear a tie anymore. You can wear whatever boots you want. You could grow a beard if you want. But then you were on a performance-based contract. She brought in these things as well, where you have to give so many tickets to shit. Now, people have always said that, coppers don't have quotas.
I was going to say that,
we never did until she brought in a system that, if you want to go up incremental pay rates, you have to agree to it. So you come up with a number that you feel comfortable with. But it's still a quota system. You have to give so many tickets.
Yeah, because I don't know if they can legally do quotas, but if you're being rewarded, if you want to go up.
Yeah, but if you agree to it, if you come up with your own stats, which you think is, so you're not really you're giving a quota, but you're giving yourself the quota.
So you actually told me a story the other night. Was I don't know if you want to share this one, but you were getting a lot of in the CBD in Melbourne, wasn't it? Like a lot of drug dealers and stuff like that. And you were told, what were you told? Yeah,
well, this is back in '99, like when I was only out in the street for maybe about a month or two, and there was a massive heroin epidemic. I don't know if you remember. If you would have been a young fellow back
I was
then,
only younger, yeah.
but yeah, there was a massive epidemic of heroin on the streets. It was like $5 to $10 a deal, and
Right.
so you had kids everywhere that were coming into the city to use. Burke and Russell Street there in Melbourne was the hotbed. There was all these penny arcades there. Probably still are, but that's where I'd say 90% of the drug trade was being done was that location. And after a couple of months of we were hitting it every day, arresting people for dealing, possess use, we'd get between 5 to maybe 15 ODs in a shift.
Shit.
Some of them would make it. Some of them you could call the ambos. They'd come down and give them a shot of Narcan. That was when Victorian Police developed a strategy to say that, okay, if somebody OD, that they couldn't be charged criminally with possess use of drug dependence, because it was seen as, because what was happening, the ambos would turn up, they'd give them a shot of Narcan, and then the police would charge them. So it was discouraging people to get help. So yeah, in a shift back there, you'd see, like it wouldn't be unusual to go to work and see 5 dead bodies in a shift. And you're talking kids and stuff like that were in an alleyway with a needle in their arm. There was one that really affected me. She looked like a cousin of mine. She was only 15, blonde hair, blue-eyed girl. She was laying there, and mate, real pretty girl, like real attractive young kid, that you'd be proud to call your daughter. And she was laying in this dirty alleyway with her blonde hair up against the wall, blue eyes open, dead. And you
first on the scene,
by yourself, like, because you walk up all the alleyways and try to spook them off before they could use up there. And you see this one kid, like that you'd be proud to call your daughter or your family. Here she is, dead in a laneway, all by herself. And wasn't long after that we got told that we weren't allowed to patrol that area. That we were artificially spiking the stats of arrests.
Is that what they use? Artificially spike?
Yeah, because I was saying, because they're statute offences, they're victimless crimes as such. So every time you arrest somebody for a drug offence, it's offence against the statute. So technically, that offence won't exist unless you make an arrest.
Was this basically either the government or the cops were embarrassed by the stats that were going to come out in the next year? Or?
From what we were told the government was embarrassed. The government of the day, which I think back then was, not sure if it was Kennett or it was the new Brumby
99. Yeah, Kennett was gone by then, wasn't he? Anyway,
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Politics is politics. But yeah, we were told that to stay away from there, concentrate on people breaking into cars and stuff like that. Because so the way I seen it, to me, it was a kick in the guts, because when you're seeing this day in, day out, and then you're told,
your cat's biting you.
Sorry about that.
Look at this little fella. How old's this one?
He's about 7-8 weeks now.
Tiny. I like them when they're hey. So I mean, all these incidents, we don't have to dwell on these too much, but because you end up getting PTSD.
Yeah.
So these were building.
Yeah.
Right. PTSD and accumulation of all these. What do you call them? Like hyper traumatic, like because you kind of said like your body's like, you're hyper tuned all the time. Because, you saw, I don't know if you want to share any other stuff, but you saw some pretty horrific things.
Yeah. One of the first fatal car accidents that I went to wasn't long after that. We were first on the scene. A young girl's 18th birthday, she was sitting in the back seat of the car. It went up the cheese of the tram stop in Carlton, not far from the in Nicholson Street, just around the corner from the St. Vincent's Hospital there.
Yeah.
And her head took out a pedestrian signal. Now, obviously, you can imagine what a scene would be like when her head's missing from her jaw to the back of her head. But the worst part about it was her sister was sitting in the front seat of the car, and it was her boyfriend that was driving. So they're not injured. So as we've turned up, they're out of the car. And the sister, is saying, "Look what you've done to my sister." So she's screaming. So you've got the screaming of her, you've got, maybe 20 or 30 people that are getting off the tram that are watching what's happening. You're there. The ambulance hasn't turned up yet.
How are you trained to handle that situation?
You're not.
So you're just going in and you just.
So I'm trying to keep calm and act professionally and just like, okay, there's nothing we could do there, like trying to, but like inside, everything is at you. You're wanting to scream like the people are, like, but you can't.
That's not your role.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, like, did these kind of incidents occur over many years? And
yeah,
and like, what was your release when you got home from a day like that?
Yeah, you didn't like that specific one. Actually, I brought up with Alicia because we worked through until about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to be back at work that afternoon at 3. So you go home from something like that, you don't sleep, you can't eat, you're not hungry. Like the last thing on your
body's on fire, isn't it?
Yeah.
After. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have any idea, to be honest. But
and then so we go from that, and you go back to work and everything, and then the boss is telling me that her parents are in because they have to pick up her property, her handbag and stuff like that. Now, her handbag was made of black suede, yeah, but it was covered in brain matter and bits of skull. And I obviously thought that should have gone to the coroner's office and they would have cleaned it.
That's why I was left like that, yeah.
But the boss, he didn't want the property in his police station. So it's one of the things bosses hate is property on hand all the time. So he just wanted to give it back. And he's telling me, Matty, you have to go out the back and clean it. So I'm like, well, I can't do that. So I sat out the back after not sleeping for about 24 hours after
having to do that.
And then picking bits of skull and brain matter off a bag. So, which is pretty traumatic, I would have thought.
But this, because it's because then you've seen the shift is what has happened to the police, right? Where they become militarized and I wouldn't say hatred, but the real dislike that people had for the police based on what was happening in COVID and them just forming into this uniformed bloody thing. But then you forget that, like, who the fuck wants to do jobs like that? So there's, it is a great service. But then, they've kind of killed that image with the way that they've acted. So I heard you say you went into a different unit, one of those units before you finished up. Do you want to talk about that and then why you left?
Yeah. Well, I went to the formation of, what do they call it? What was the name of this unit? But yeah, it's where the POM comes from, the Public Order Management Team, and all that. And
not that public order response.
Yeah, and that's where all it's derived from is this team.
So when did that start?
2010.
Right. So you went into that.
Yeah. So I went across there, and basically what the job was traveling around the state. So anywhere where they seem to have a problem with, like either youth problems and stuff like that, we were sent up to go and combat it. So, or places like you go up to, say, Bendigo or Ballarat, where they had problems with people drink driving, and like you'd sit off some pubs and do all that, because it was a way of disassociating local police with the police, because they didn't want this community-based policing anymore. They wanted coppers that didn't know anyone.
We got them all the time in Bendigo. They bring them up all the time.
Yeah, so they bring them up so that there's nobody knows each other, and the police will just go into it as hard as they can and not have that. Because you say that
you don't have the relationship with the community.
Exactly.
So because that old style policing was, old Matt, come on, Matt, pull your head in. I'll see you at cricket later. Do you know what I mean? Because you all knew each other. And that's obviously, that was strategically done.
Yeah, of course.
And they put all the new recruits. They don't put them where they come from now. They'll get
and that's what and a lot of the new coppers that joined the job hated actually being sent there, because they joined the job because they thought they were going to go to a police station and for their first couple of years and ride the van and everything. But then all of a sudden they're sent to a unit where they're going out to country towns every weekend. And
So what made you leave?
Well, look, it was an accumulation, like the stress over the years. Like I felt, I remember it was about 18 months before I got out. There was one morning I was driving like it was a Monday morning. Yeah, just grabbed a coffee, having a coffee with my offsider. Car go. We're in Carlton, and we're up just near the zoo, right? Sitting behind this car, red light, no problem, and the car just drives straight through the red light in front of us, right? So anyway, I'm like, bang, okay. Like if you're going to be that stupid and you're going to go through a red light right when there's a cop car sitting behind you, okay, maybe there's some issues, yeah. So I pull this car and he won't wind the window down. And I'm thinking, okay, no worries. And I'm like, no, okay, mate. Like I said, look, the reason I pulled you over, mate, you just gone through a red light there.
In front of me.
Yeah, right in front of me. And he goes, no, I didn't. You don't know.
So you're like one of these ones. So here we go.
Yeah. So I'm like, here we go. Right. So I'm already on fire because I haven't slept for a couple of days at this stage, you know, like I've had a bit of a bad run. And he's like, no, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So got his license off him, mate, and I'm sitting there and he just bangs up his window again. And again, this is one of the ones where you feel like you're being electrocuted, right? Like you just haven't slept, nothing feels great, and it's just like everything goes tense. And so I'm just looking at the license, looking at him, and I'm thinking, mate, I don't feel good here, you know, like I think I'm going to smash this guy's window and pull him out of the car. You know? Yeah. So all I did, I just dropped his license on the ground, told my mate to get back in the car, and I just drove back. Went up to a park. I just composed myself for about 15 minutes, got a few deep breaths, finished my coffee. I went back to the station and said, boss, like,
really?
Yeah, not today. I'm starting to feel.
Was that because you could feel within inside yourself? I mean, just even by your actions, like, fuck this. I'm not, I don't want to deal with this.
No,
I've had no sleep. I'm stressed.
Yeah. And it's a feeling of like, okay, I was always a type of copper, right? If I pulled you over and you turn around and said to me, oh, mate, I'm having a crap day, you know, this happened or that happened, and I'm not really concentrating, I'd go, that's fine. Mate, I'm not here to make your day worse. Just pull your head in, you know, do the right thing, and away you go. Which most coppers can't do that. Like, I understand the way it is. But yeah, I was always that way. But like when you've got people that are aggressive at you all the time, like
you don't want to have to deal.
Nah, man. And mate, you just want to be cool with people. And I was finding the more I went along with the job, the more it was taking me away from who and what I am. Yeah. Like I did explain with Alicia.
You've got to confine you have to be within that system. You have to.
That's it.
You're under strict rules, and
but you do get to a point where you're starting to know who and what you are, and everything that you're doing in life is working against you. So I suppose at a certain point, there's going to be a breaking point where they both.
It's weird that it was such a small thing, though. Yeah, I mean, that was just the trigger. I remember what we got caught stealing when we were kids, but we're in a small town. Yeah. So everyone knew everyone, and Dad was the bank manager and that. And then the cop said, yeah, like, because you were scared, you weren't scared of the cop, he's going to tell my dad. Right. And I had another one. I was talking on my phone, and the cop pulled me. It was a work call. I had to answer it, and I pulled over, and the cops pulled me over, and I didn't get off the phone because I was still on a work call. And I'm like, I just said, just wait there. And he goes, mate, if a cop pulls you over, pull over. Secondly, if you're on your phone, get the fuck off your phone. And then he just goes, and then just drove off. And I'm like, yes. Yeah, so.
But it's not that hard. Like, most coppers want to be cool, but it's just the system's been put in place where you can't be.
But it's more so now, isn't it? There used to be that leniency, and I feel like there's not.
Well, it was called using your discretion, right? So you always have police discretion on who and what you charge, especially when it comes to summary offences and stuff when it comes to do with the road licensing or the road safety act. So where now it's just so overgoverned that, like, okay, that's the way that they make money now. That's a revenue raiser. So they're not going to knock that on the teeth. You know what? There's so many PBTs and so many coppers fake PBTs.
What's PBT?
The preliminary bet.
Right.
Okay, this is one thing people don't know. The Victorian Police get funded by Vic Roads, by the what's the name? The campaign through the Don't Drink and Drive campaigns. So they actually get funding for how many tests that they do, and everyone that they go over, they get a bonus check every year. So that's why
So while all this was going on, Because I mean, your story is so much bigger than that. That was obviously a big chapter that molded you. And yeah, I mean, you didn't even go into half. You had some pretty crazy experiences there, didn't you? But yeah. So I mean, were you starting to look at yourself after that happened? And
Yeah.
When did you? Would you say you're in crisis or at that point?
No.
Or you just had enough?
Look, I was getting to the point where I had enough. Like,
that's like clawing me.
It was about.
I get no. So I guess I'm trying. I want to know like when, because you got a very in-depth knowledge and very balanced and grounded perspective on things. For someone that's lived your life too. Like when did you start getting into that stuff? Yeah, because you mentioned that Healy went to.
Yeah, about 2006, I went and seen him. A friend of mine said that his missus went and seen this guy.
So this is while you're still working as cop.
Yeah. She said she went and seen this guy. He does like energy movement and stuff at a beverage. So I thought on a whim I'll make a call and because I was starting to struggle and like I found myself like getting on the piss more, you know, like I think most guys will know, like you get to a point where you're stressed, you go out and have a few beers, but instead of getting mildly drunk, every time you go and have a beer, you can't stop. You drink until you're smashed. And so that was happening more and more regularly. And especially too, like I best mates owned a pub. So there was no getting kicked out of the pub at the end of the night. It was a lock in. And so I was like, okay, something has to change here. I'm not feeling good inside. Like if I go and get counselling from the police, that never works. And then you get a sort of a mark against your name. So I thought I'd reach out and do some energy healing rather than. So yeah, I went up and seen this guy and like he's a bit of a different looking cat, you know, like he's a bit of a bikey looking guy until you see his eyes. When you look into this guy's eyes, you think, okay, mate, this is a big teddy bear, and his eyes were.
But his exterior is a bit
big fella. And I thought, well, okay,
not what you expected.
Yeah, I expected, you know, like somebody with a long beard, you know, and
some hippie.
Yeah, but no, he wasn't what I expected until I seen his eyes, and he's got the kindest eyes you could ever imagine of a man. And so he started to say to me, well, explain to me what he does and stuff. He can see the energy spots on your body, and then he can push through them. And he said when he pushes through them, you've got to be able to breathe your way through the pain, and that's what gets to the core and where you've actually stored the energy in your body, and he can release it, but it's going to come out in pain. And he said it's quite often emotional pain. So I thought, okay, look, give it a go. So I jumped up on the table, and he hit some of these points, and the way I cried when he hit these points, it was a guttural howl. It wasn't just a cry. Like it was,
like a release too.
Yeah.
And now I heard you talk about that in the interview with Alicia. And so last year I was out in Central Australia, and I took some pictures of some cave paintings, and I touched the rocks before I went in there and it said, do not fucking share these pictures.
Yeah.
And I shared them on Instagram. It's a couple. I thought they were cool. It was my ego, but they were like demonic spirits too. Yeah. And I got horrific tonsillitis. And it was the way you explained it that it made me think of that, because I was in there. I had no painkillers and I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And I gave this. I couldn't even talk at it, but I gave this scream, and I just started crying. And it's like something came out of me.
Yeah.
I could actually hear the growl. And yeah, it wasn't like tears of sadness or relief about it. It was just like something came out. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the only way I could describe it.
It's similar to that.
It was emotional pain, but it was like something actually being released from me. Like, and it come.
So where was the blockage exactly? Do you know?
It was around my back somewhere. That was the first one, but he got.
So was he saying that was linked to a specific trauma, or that meant? Did he go into?
He said that the first one is usually just built up. And it's something that's attached to you. But every one that we did after that was a specific feeling. It was a specific emotion that I could go back to. Whether it was during my childhood, we'd go back, like he showed me my birth and the pain I went through at birth to be able to heal that. We went back to things that happened.
Got the other one here.
Sorry, this is Fats. This is the boss of the house.
But it's got the nicest coat. Yeah, sorry.
So and yeah, we went back through childhood stuff that affected me. Like, so everything was specific, but that first time that he hit the point, and it was down my lower back somewhere near my spine. When he released that one, that was, yeah, I never experienced anything like that after that. So, yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever heard of this guy Paul? He wrote a book called The Root Cause of Cancer. I'll have to see the video.
No.
But so, that could have been a pivotal moment for you, because he says that cancer, or basically any disease, is a built up of stress, so and emotional stress.
Yes.
And if you don't have a way to release that, if you're particularly, so you're in a job where you're having to put on a brave face and you're going to all these things.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but like everything in your life, and it's built up. That like, are we getting physically sick too?
Yeah. Man, I had massive like digestive issues, like stomach acid and things like that. Where like literally I was at the point where if I had a beer or an orange juice like you're drinking there, my stomach would burn for. Yeah. Oh, mango. Like even mango juice, like any type of juice or anything like that would burn my stomach for days.
So did you stop your drinking in that around when that happened too? Like,
yeah, well, I'd go for periods. Like after that, I'd go for a period of 12 months, wouldn't have a beer, but then you get back on it and you'd have some big nights, and then I'd go 6 months, I wouldn't have a beer again. So the more I sort of found that part of me was the less I drank. But again, it's one of those things where the spiritual side, and I think the spiritual awakening that was happening during the sort of the 2000s.
It's interesting you said around
different.
that. Yeah, that was my time was really slow, but mine exploded around 2010.
Yeah.
So I feel the same as well.
There was a lot of books and stuff that were written before that time. There was a lot. Neil Donald Welch. There was all these. What's his name? Dan Millman. And stuff.
So were you getting into this stuff around that time too?
Yeah. But those books were specific to that time.
Yeah.
Time changed after a little bit later. I'd say about the 11-12 period, because all those books that were written around that time were specific to that time period, where time seemed to change. Where after around 2012, I don't think that those books are as relevant as what they were before then.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of stuff, it was all about the whole conspiracy or alternative realm. Then was all about the build up to 2012, right? It was all going to be about 2012, and then everyone was like, nothing happened, but there was. I've
got one for you.
There was a lot happened geopolitically then too, because that was when all the Arab Spring happened in 2011 in Libya, and there was a lot going on.
It's funny, like you bring up the 2012 stuff. Can you remember the millennial stuff that was happening back then?
I was pretty young. I was like 14, but I remember New Year's Eve when it flicked over, all waiting for the everything to go out.
When I was doing my driver's license, you have to do a police driver's license, right?
Yeah.
My instructor for the 2 weeks to get your driving ticket, I failed the first time around, mate, because this guy was he wasn't all there. He was actually left prior to the millennial. He left because he was digging his property up and he was making tunnels. So this is why when people were saying
it was a prepper.
So when people were prepping for 2012 and later, this is where I sort of get a little bit because I have seen people that left.
I mean, like everyone's people are prepping. It's like a new cycle of it. But I remember watching this Louis Theroux one. It was in the 90s. And they got their bug outs and they prep, and they go out and check every day if the UN's invaded America. It's like 95. Are they still doing that shit?
Yeah. So I've seen the incarnates of it, for over years.
So you've been in that game for a long time of understanding what's going on in the world. So
September 11, like even when that happened, like I was skeptical at the time. I was just like, and then it was only within a couple of months after it that the video started. Like it wasn't really YouTube, but there was like DVDs going around, like security people in hospitals.
I got loose change. Guy gave it to me. I was working at McDonald's as a kid. Loose change on DVD. Yeah. And I was fucking giving it to everyone. I'm like, fucking, they did 9/11, man. Check this shit out. That was like 2002, 3, whenever it came out.
That's it. It was crazy, but like it started from there, but it did change. Like, and even myself, like I got roped back into like the conspiracy realm around the sort of 2000 and I'd say about 2013. You know, like
Yeah.
Once the 2012 stuff was done, you know, like as you do, like, and it becomes so strong on YouTube. And can you remember YouTube back then? Like you'd watch one video and then it'd suggest like, oh, have you seen this one?
Mate, it was bloody field day. It
Yeah.
was so good back then.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And that's whenever when did YouTube come? I think it was 07. Yeah, 2007. And yeah, that was mad because you could type. It was completely free. You type in and you get all suggestions of these weird videos. And
so it'd go from Alex Jones to then into all these. Alex Jones back in the day was kind of fun. But
yeah, I used to go, turn the gravel guts off. I'm sick of hearing it. Because all there was, I used to listen to Up Bell Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
George Norrie, David Icke.
Yeah, David Icke.
Alex Jones. Yeah, about Coast to Coast was one. That was it. There wasn't much else.
That David Icke one that he did, Where Is the Love? And he had that song by Where Is the Love?
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, Black Eyed Peas. When he did a presentation to that song, that was, man, and that was around the same time, around that early sort of 2012-ish. And that was
so who were you, what sort of people were you following then?
Yeah, it was all that
type of
your
interest. The conspiracy type stuff.
Because you had all these shows. You had PK come up from Melbourne that was joining shows in America.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine actually goes by the name of John LeBlanc. He was doing a show in Australia with Ethan Nash that's got TOTT News. They were doing a podcast out of Brisbane called the Australian Roundtable. Yeah. They were really, really cool. Like that was a weekly show out of Australia that no one was doing at the time. I'd say it was probably the first podcast that was made out of Australia. So that was like 2014.
But you could really, like, there would be an event or something would happen there and they would unpick it for 3 months because there was so much time between the next thing. Whereas now it's like,
that's it. Well, can you remember the one that the incident that split the whole, what if you call it? Oh, yeah, we call the acronym is
what split it?
Yeah.
Well, Flat Earth was a big one.
There was one before that split it. That got everyone fighting not long before Flat Earth.
I think
this is a bit of trivia, guys.
Okay, you tell me.
What was the name of the flight? It was a flight that crashed.
Oh, the MH17.
No. It was before that. It was one that they had the footage. It was it was called the Trans something. The Trans.
Fuck man, I can't remember.
It come across, right, and it crashed into this bridge over in, I'm not sure if it was China or Korea, and people were saying half the community was saying it was staged, and the other half was saying, oh no, it's real, right? And this one split the community. This is where PK started having arguments with. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, after that, not long after that, the Flat Earth movement come in and killed the rest of it. Yeah. But that was the start of the
I don't know what you think flat Earth. Whether the Earth is flat or not, when that came in, I think there's aspects that are true. But it's definitely when that came in, when something's nowhere and it's bang, it was everywhere. Yeah, that's intelligence, right? It's intelligence.
Well, Mark Sargent, and then he had his show with Patricia Steer.
Oh yeah,
and the names of these people and everything, like
you know what was divisive though, because they used to do all these terrorists, like when they did all the Gladio events in Italy and stuff in the 90s, they were bombing and killing people, and like in Iran and 9/11, and then what was that, the Madrid bombing, and then the London one, and then they did Boston, and then that was like the first one where they faked it, and then they used to add bits that were real and fake into the same, like with Norway, and then this caused all this fighting because you had. I remember Max Egan doing one with Jim Fetzer. Yeah. And they were going off their nuts at it. Like, because Max is like, no, it's real. And Jim's like, everything's fake, right? So you have these polarities. Yeah.
But I think that's what it is.
But you can get too caught up in that shit, right?
Well, like you look at the polarity, right? Like, okay, they say that the Earth's round. No, it's not. It's flat. So you've got straight away, you've got the polarity.
One or the other. Yeah. It's got to be one or the other.
That's it. But we're never going to find out, because all it is just creating the argument. They just want it to keep on going on forever. Yeah. So nothing's provable.
Yeah. All right. We'll get more into that, but let's move on to Why'd you move to Thailand?
Yeah. Well, 2010, like when I was going through like leaving the job and everything, I was like, okay, I've got to get as far away from my life there as I could. I've been coming to Thailand for a long time, so I knew a lot of people here.
And you were doing, you were a Muay Thai fighter as well.
Yeah, yeah, I used to box on the circuit here. That was my downtime, not so
Were
much.
you a good fighter, by the way?
I was okay. I could, yeah.
Mate, credit to anyone that gets in the ring, yeah. So.
Yeah, I could do okay, mate. But yeah, got knocked out a couple of times as you do. But yeah, fighting is what it is, mate. But
so you had that connection over here.
Yeah.
And you're already diving at that time. So were you qualified?
Yeah, I was a dive instructor as well. So like I thought, well, if I come out here, I can get away from everything, completely away, where it's just a completely different lifestyle, and never have to put up with a Melbourne winter and just do something completely different, change everything, you know. And I was lucky enough, I was in that position. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any responsibilities back in Australia. I was just like, okay,
so you could
I'm free, so I can break. I can make that break in my life where I can split it and completely go down a different path. And that's what I chose to do. Like, I don't know if you know what it's like with stress, but if you're driving around the same areas all the time, you're going.
It's coming up, isn't it? All those memories of the incidents you've had around Melbourne. I could see why you would would want a fresh start sometime, because you can get that running away thing, right? That could be a program, but I mean, it sounded like it was a good move for you. You're still here.
Yeah, well, that's it. I've had people like we did go back to Melbourne for a period of time, like about 2 years. But that's sort of neither here nor there. But I had friends that come over, like good friends of mine that come over and stayed with us. And I took them around the city of Melbourne, and they wanted me to show them around the city. And I'm like, okay. So it was a little bit different though. Like I took them around the city, and it was more like, okay, I've seen a guy do this here, blah, blah, blah. I've seen an armed robbery there. Oh, you see that window up there? The guy jumped out of the window.
Is that almost like how you look at the city? That you've got all those,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I can't walk through the city and go, oh, look at the lights here and stuff like that. And I'm telling stories the whole way. Like it's a...
that's what me and my mate used to drive around Bendigo and all the random houses that we woke up at. That's what we used to do. I woke up at that house.
Who lives there now?
Anyway, we won't go to that. But so I mean, like it obviously worked. It worked out well. So when did you decide you wanted to get into business and stuff here?
Pretty much immediately. Like the dive stuff. What I found is that it was a little.
You working for a company? You were doing your own private stuff too.
Yeah. Because what I found is like people that dive with me tended to have a few issues with learning to dive. Like they had anxiety about it, bit of stress. So what I was doing, I knew that there was a gap in the market there. So what I was doing was sort of specializing people with anxiety stuff, with they could never learn to dive before because they were too scared of this, you know, had phobias.
I'd rather jump off a bridge than go diving. That's terrifying to me.
Where what I used to do, I used to take the time, like take you really, really shallow, take you in a pool first, try to calm you down, try to get inside. And what I could do is I had this skill where I could feel I could feel it within me. So if you've got an anxiety about something, if I'm working with you, I can feel where the anxiety is. So I know how to break it.
Because I heard you mention that, Alicia, that you had that intuitive kind of empathy. So you were able to read people's energy.
Yeah.
So do you think you were helping them on a deeper level than just the diving with what you were doing just because you were able to read them?
Yeah, that's it. And like once somebody gets through a phobia like that, their life is so much more better because like they've gone from never wanted to go in the water because they're too petrified to being able to dive with a shark, see a shark and go, what the hell?
I think, there's nothing better than that moment of overcoming a fear. Yeah. It's huge, isn't it?
And what people don't understand, when I've been able to break those fears in people, they think that they feel good because they've broken it. But for me personally,
it's giving you satisfaction.
Yeah. And it's like everything I do. Everything I do is not for the money. This is why I do what I do, even with the cooking and stuff, I do these things because seeing people happy and getting something that they want is...
Do you want to, it's up to you, but do you want to share that story that you told me the other day?
Which one?
About the boy that you were helping dive. You don't have to share
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no,
That might be a
it's because
It's too connected. But yeah, I mean that was a great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt's obviously done a lot for a lot of different people, and I guess diving, it's like it's anything. It's just a tool that you're using, right?
Yeah.
To help people.
But it's like everything. Like I think a lot of people get mixed up with money, doing stuff for a living, and doing stuff that makes you happy, where you get fed in a different way. How can I explain this? It's like yourself, yeah. You go back and you need to find what works, what's going to pay you something in the end, and what's going to make life a little bit more easier and a bit more normal. But if you find stuff that you love and stuff like this, you do brilliantly. It's just you need to find a way where it pays off better, because you know what I mean. Because when you're good at something, it's not the payment. The payment comes with what you do. That comes on the back end. That's why I never accept payment. My wife does. She's happy to take the money, mate. But I don't like the monetary thing, because I enjoy seeing people's face. I enjoy making things for people, seeing that them enjoyment, and that's my payment. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean that's happened in your life too, isn't it? When you've done things not expecting any reward, and then the rewards came when you least expected.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
You know.
Do you want to talk about any of that?
With the business here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't even. Yeah, well, no, go on to that story. It's a good story, actually.
Well, cool. Like during the pandemic.
Because I was going to ask what it was like through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through that first and then get to that story?
Yeah, cool.
So obviously you're here, you got this business, you're doing pretty well.
Well,
you went back to Melbourne for a couple of years, didn't you? Because your mum was crew.
Yeah, we come back here at the end of 2018. 2019, we took over this building. We took over the business.
Yeah.
It was a wreck, right? So we had to rebuild from the ground up. So we spent most of 2019 building everything back up. We got through to about September, finally opened it. So we got September, October, November, December, January, and then there's the rumors of and then by March, March 11, they declare the pandemic, and it goes from rebuilding a business, doing really well, to bang, it's over. So we were quiet. I ran the bar here like a speakeasy. I just wasn't scared. I knew what it was when it come around. So
what about the other business owners around here, and particularly the Western business owners? Would they have any idea what was going on? Were you trying to
they all pretty much disappeared.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, because it's it's changed here a lot since I used to come here.
Yeah.
So was there a lot of Westerners that packed up and left that had businesses in Thailand?
They all just went to ground. They didn't want to stay open because they were scared and all this stuff. But then I become hated because I wasn't scared, and I didn't want to close down. Like, I had customers that were staying upstairs and stuff. We're allowed to serve those customers, but I had a few people to come in. People had to go somewhere, and people wanted to be around people that weren't scared. It's one of those things. If you're not scared, people want to be around you because you give an air of calmness. So it became that, and it become like as the time went on, it become difficult to deal with people, because it goes from you're admired for not being scared to you're hated because you weren't scared like them. So you sort of ostracize yourself in a
But so like 2020, there was. So you were still doing business okay then, but there wouldn't have been any tourists coming in. No, so like
there was no tourists.
The economy would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to a few people around here. They a lot of people lost their money.
Yeah.
So what happened? When did they start opening Thailand up? Obviously, the vaccine mandate came in 21.
It was around I'd say about mid 21, August 21. They started what they called the sandbox tourist run. Yeah. So people could come to Thailand, but they'd have to come to Phuket. They could go anywhere on the island for the first 2 weeks. They had to get tested 3 times or something.
So were people doing that?
Yeah. So that they would get tested at the airport. They'd have to go into a 24-hour lockdown at a hotel, get tested again in the morning, and then tested again in the evening. If they were clear, then they were allowed to go around Phuket. Yeah. So Yeah, you had maybe. I think.
I guess there'd be people. There's people that got family over here, right?
Yeah.
People coming over to visit family and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we had some people come in that were from England that just wanted to come here for a holiday. So, yeah, but again, then the mandate started on the business. Like if you wanted a liquor license or a restaurant license, you had to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, without being vaccinated, I couldn't redo my liquor license, hotel license, restaurant license, nothing to be done again. So, yeah, we were left in a position where we were basically out. So that happened in 21.
So you just done the place up,
Yeah.
you got it going, and then
I got through a year and a half, nearly 2 years of the
so you've gone up. You end up going up where your wife's from,
Yeah.
up in the north,
northeast. Yeah,
and you were there for what, over a year, weren't you?
15 months.
15 months.
Yeah, we did up there. So
So how did you handle that? Because because I mean that would have been pretty isolating for you too.
Yeah.
And there's
well,
there's
yeah,
not much to do up there, is there?
lived in this area, right, where I didn't come across another Westerner pretty much the whole time I was there.
So did your Thai improve being up there? Would have been got a lot better, wouldn't
yeah, a little bit, but no one really talks to you either.
Oh, right.
Like, people are welcoming.
They're like, who's this guy?
Hello,
They're like, who's this guy in the village? What's
but they've never had a white guy live in the village either, so nobody really knows how to cope with it. You know, like I'm trying to be friendly, like
I'm not talking to you.
no. So I do my walk every morning and everything, and say good morning to people, and you know, like I'd be polite. I started off, you know, saying hello in Thai and everything, but then I was like, they'd say hello, so I would try to teach them some English and say good morning and stuff like that, and after a while they'd say good morning back, and so we all sort of learn off each other. It was a fun time. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not that bad, but it was just isolating. So
yeah, so I mean, you weren't speaking English for that.
No.
But obviously, like you went up there, like your son's up there too. You speak English,
yeah, me and Thai, yeah, because he didn't want to learn. He doesn't like speaking Thai that much either. So nah. And then
has he got Thai with an Aussie accent?
Kind of, yeah.
He doesn't. I had these friends in the Czech Republic, and they had like a 4-year-old, and they'd lived for 3.5 years in China. The kid was born in China, so they were the most ochre bogan Aussies ever. And then they moved to the Czech Republic, and now he's learning Czech. And he's like, the kid had like this fucked up like Chinese, Aussie, Czech accent. It was hilarious.
Oh man, but yeah, he wasn't doing that great up there. We tried online school, homeschool.
Yeah,
we tried a Thai school up there where, you know, like the racist thing is.
That's
really,
what I was
really
going to say. So like he didn't, like he found it quite hard socially, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, because he's obviously like he's half Thai, half white.
Yeah. So being up there, like the kids just like, people think that racism is a white person thing.
Yeah.
And it's not. It works the other way, I think, even more harshly than what it does.
We're so lied to about racism in the West, aren't we? Like,
we certainly are. And I don't think people fully understand that. And it's not until you
So you're saying that he was being picked on or bullied because of his
ethnicity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was as plain as day. That's as nice as you can be about it. Like, yeah. Because a lot of people travel, but when they travel, they go to places like Phuket.
It's different here than up in the village.
It's a tourist area. Yeah. But when you get off the beaten track and you see the way people actually live, and the racism that's intrinsic to areas outside of tourist areas, then I think you'll get a different picture of the world, man.
Yeah. So what? I mean, what do you think of Thai culture? And I've always loved it. It's always felt like my second home. Yeah. I like people.
Yeah, and look, when it comes to religious thing, the Buddhist thing, and all that is what it is. It's a religion, but there's truth to, as we all know, there's truth to every religion. But when you get up north, man, the people are genuine, right? They do genuinely care. It's a different sort of vibe to it. But yeah, look, I love Thai culture. I think in its essence, it's a beautiful thing. But also through the tourist areas, you can see the hard end of it as well. So there are realities and certain hard realities to life here as well.
Yeah. All my mates, they used to think I was over here as a sex tourist because I come over
it's a first
come over every year. I'm like, I'm not a fucking sex tourist. I just
it's the first thing you hear. Like, oh, what are you going to Thailand for? You're going to beg some lady boys?
My students used to make fun of me.
Yeah, that's it.
But
But you do see that as well. You do see.
Yeah, I mean, even like if you go to Patong down there, that's because Thailand. It's like anywhere in the world. You've got if you go there and you connect with the beautiful side of it, or you can go there and to the complete disgusting side. It's got it both.
And this is what people don't understand, right? Like I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I go and exercise, I do all that type of stuff. That's my favorite part of Thailand. You wake up in the morning, you got the beach to yourself. There's no one around.
Sun's out, warm.
Sun's out. It's beautiful, right? But you've got that side where, and I go to bed at about 10 o'clock at night. Life's great. But then you have the other side of Thailand where people don't go out until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. They're going home when I'm getting up exercising. Yeah. They've got a completely different life to what I see.
And they're both operating at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
But it's a completely different world, man. And
yeah. I mean, in the last few times I've been over here, I don't really drink anymore. Yeah. So I have a completely different experience over here now.
But it'd be good for you to experience it though on the same trip. Just when you go back to your training and everything next week, and then have one night out and just see that actually those two worlds exist in the same place.
Yeah.
You know,
I was actually last time I was here. I went down to I booked into a hostel for one night. I'm like, I'll go out, and then I was with these guys in the hostel, and I didn't want to drink it. They kept going, "Yeah, beer." I'm like, I have one later, and then I was like, I just don't want it.
Yeah,
I just don't want it. Yeah. But I'll have some in Thai, I think. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to your story. So you're up there. So then you eventually, so you come back. In 2022. So they scrapped the mandates.
Yeah, mandates and everything went away.
But then, so how are you looking financially at this point? As far as you still got the business?
The business is gone. The business is gone at the.
That's right. Yeah,
September.
So how did you end up planning it? This is a bit of a divine.
So we went up north and everything like that. We just bided our time, did what I had to do up there. Son's not enjoying school. And
so where are you thinking you're going at this point? I'm thinking, fuck, I could just stay in the village.
Yeah, that's it. And that was our main intention. I'm just thinking, well, we don't know what's happening with the world and everything. So it got towards the end of 22. It was around December last year. And my son's going to me, he's going, Dad, I want to go back to Phuket. He wanted to go back to his original school. He said he's done the research. He's looked it up online. He's done it all himself, right? He says, Dad, I want to go. So to me, that was my call to action. Like I understand the hero's journey and stuff
so
like that.
That was your motivation. Really.
Yeah. So he was the one who set it in motion. He was the one who gave me the call. So then, okay, I started putting a few things in place, whether we could get back into school. Spoke to the school and they said, look, we're full, right? It's hard to find space, but because he'd been there pre the pandemic and everything, they'd do their best, yeah. So went along, didn't really pay it any attention, but I knew that at some stage we're going to have to go, yeah. So we were looking at a few different things, but then it sort of went through to January. And then there was a day where I said, okay, Tigers, we're going to go. Like, he was unhappy, he was bored. It was freezing cold. People don't understand how cold Thailand gets up in the north.
Man, I've been up the north here I'm wearing a beanie and a jumper, sitting around the fire every night.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
So I had a lot of fire every night, and it's like the middle of January, man, freezing, and I'm thinking.
Well, it's a lot there was because where I go, it's days scorching. As soon as the sun drops, it's freezing.
Same. So it was about 7-8 degrees at night time every night. So I'm thinking, okay, that's it, no more. So me and Tigers, we packed up a few of the basic stuff, jumped in the car, and we drove back down to Phuket. About halfway, we got to just before Bangkok one morning, and the school rang and said, "We've got a spot for your son."
Wow! So you're already energetically onto it.
Yeah. We're already on the way, and she goes, "When does he want to come down?" And I said, "Well, look, it's Friday morning. So we'll be there Monday morning." So that set the rest of the trip.
So was he pretty happy once?
Yeah.
You heard that?
Yeah. So we get down here. We couldn't find any place to live. This is where the part.
So you just set in motion, like nowhere to go, nowhere to live, just like we
didn't know. So I didn't plan it. I just thought, well, everything will fall into place if you do things the right way. Everything's got to fall into place. But this is where everything started to become harder and harder, right? because we get down here, school's okay, he's in a school. So that's that
One thing sorted.
which I thought was going to be the hard part, which was the easiest part.
Yeah.
So then we get to find somewhere to live. So we're just going from hotel to hotel. At the time, I didn't realize that, okay, Phuket hotels are saying that they're 100% booked, but they're only open 30%, 20%, 30% of the hotels are open.
Is that because they didn't have enough cleaners and stuff?
Yeah, no staff. So then we think, okay, it won't take us long. We'll find a bungalow somewhere out in the residential area. No, nothing. Everything's been taken up, and they're using the residential areas as short-term hotels as well, because the hotels can't find the staff. So
just to stop there, and this is because a lot of the staff that worked here pre-pandemic, they've gone back.
They've gone
like you guys did. They've
Yeah.
gone back to where they came from, their own villages, and a lot haven't come back, have they?
That's it. And the shortage of staff here now is unbelievable. This is why everything's not picking up. Like, if they could, it'd be like.
Anyway, I don't want to
Yeah.
interrupt
So,
the story.
yeah.
but yeah.
So anyway, so we've got nowhere to live. So I'm taking him to school every day. My son hates takeaway food. He only wants me to cook for him. He only likes my food. Good boy. So school's going okay, but we can't find any place where I can cook or anything like that. So we're just going from hotel to hotel. 2 days here.
Eating takeaway food.
Yeah, and then it's okay for him for about the first week, but then he's starting to get upset. Like, so I pick him up and he's like, "Oh, where are we going now?" Because he didn't know where we're staying that night. So, and I'm trying to keep it cool and keep it fun for him, but and it's killing me as well, like moving every day. So that went on for 3 weeks until we found a place where we could sort of
Set
stop.
yourself up. Yeah.
And so again, then it was like starting from scratch again. I only had the furniture. We had none. We had his computer in the car, and that was it. So I had to start up furniture for the house again, and all these type of things. So, a desk so he could sit in the computer, a bed, all this. So so we started from scratch again, and it was at this stage, like I was doing your course. I think that sort of started around the February, March. March. So your course sort of started while I was in the middle of this transition and getting set back up.
Yeah.
And this is where, along the way, where I caught up with a mate of mine. We were catching up for dinner and stuff like that. And then he come and seen where we were living and how we're living and how tough we were doing it. And he kept on seeing me because he was saying, where you had your business, it's still empty. And he's like, why don't you take it back over? And I said to him, mate, financially, I said, I'll do it in a second. I said, but financially, there's no chance, yeah? And he's saying, but, like, you should think about it. In the mornings, I was coming back and I was doing my walk every morning on the same walk that I used to do when I lived here. So, and then it started getting in my brain, like the thoughts of, wouldn't it be good? Like, I don't
know how, but wouldn't it be good?
Yeah, wouldn't it be good to be able to live here again? Do my walks in the morning, run the business and stuff like that. It'd be fantastic. So it just sort of set that in motion, like that.
That spark, that thought that it was a possibility.
Yeah.
Or even consider it.
Yeah, it's good to, and I was just thinking it's good to dream, but it's
don't know how.
It's never going to happen. But so anyway, a couple of weeks later, like he was going back, he was leaving, gave me a call and he said, "Look, mate," he goes, "I want you to take the business back." And he said, "Look, I owe you a couple of things from over the years. You've been a good friend, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "I don't like seeing the way you're living and on your knees." He said, "I want to help you out. I want you to take the business back. Here's the money. Do it." So I've never taken anything in my life off anyone. I've never taken a favor. I don't like it.
Thing you come down with a dream and a prayer with no plan and not really seeking anyone out for help either.
Yeah, no, I didn't want any help.
This just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it sort of just come through the process of trusting in yourself, not quitting because I couldn't quit because my son's like, his happiness is on the line.
How did you go? Yeah. So how did you go about accepting that?
Well, and I said to him, I said, "Mate, I can't. It's too much." And he said, "No." He wanted to do it because it makes him feel good to be able to help me. Yeah. And
what a beautiful gift.
It's not even beautiful. It's the genuine nature of him wanting to help. if it come from a position where if he had to turn around and said to me, look, mate, I'll lend you the money, but I want 15% and I'll be in charge of the business and I'll work. Yeah. No. But he just said, no, he doesn't want to be involved with it. Pay him back when I can, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 50. He goes, I don't care. He goes, but I want to see you back
to see you doing well, and settled and comfortable, and your son having a stable place to go where he can go to school, and and that must have been. How did you feel at that moment?
As I said, it was one of the few times where you can't even speak. Like I've actually said to him, mate, I said, I can't speak to you at the moment, mate. I can't talk. Like the throat was completely locked. Like, it was. And as I said,
it's such a great story.
Yeah. When I said it to Alicia, I jumped in the car and I said to my wife, because she'd only just come down. Said, I can't really speak. So I had to go in the car and just go for a drive, just get away, you know, like not that runaway thing, just I had to process everything that was going on. And I had my old phone, threw it down and it clicked on, and it connected to the stereo as it always does. But I must have knocked it, it clicked into a song. And that song that I told Alicia about, it's a song called Aerials by System of a Down. And if you listen to that song, it's very similar to the video you did about.
Yeah, I used to love that.
Yeah, life is a waterfall. We turn around and put up a wall, you know, and it's all about water and the memory of water and what it does.
Wow, I'm gonna go listen to it now.
Trust me.
But do you know why I love your story is because you've gone in, like you built yourself up. You've obviously had so many experiences in your life before. You've gone into a whole new adventure, and then something comes out of nowhere. You're stuck to your guns. We're not taking this jab or whatever. I'm not doing that. You've gone and then had to leave, and you didn't know where you're going, but you did what was right. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, you've got this someone, you know, a friend has given you this amazing, not even a gift, but just giving you the opportunity to get your life back.
That's it.
And so it's like, it just shows that how much that can happen. Do you reckon that a lot of it had to do with your mental, your state of mind, or
it's mental resilience, and I think this is what the hero's journey is all about. Yeah, you've actually got to be resilient enough that you don't quit.
Yeah,
because the easiest thing
because the hurdles always come in the journey, right? You can't let that stop you on that part of the side.
So many times along the way, right? The easy way out would have been jump on a plane, go back to Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. Like I've lost money here, I've lost everything. You know, you get your benefits or whatever you can, and you could still survive back in Australia. Where I was like, well, no, I don't want to do that. I've got to push out because I want my son to have his dream. I've just got to keep on my journey. I didn't know what it was going to end in, but I knew that it's going to end in something good because that's the only way it can end. And like
so it's trust really too, isn't it? That you know, things will turn around. Things will, you know, when you're in the middle of a hurdle, you know you're in it too, don't you?
That's it.
But some people can't see beyond the hurdle.
No, and the thing is, right? Like even before I heard your interpretation and the way all your study on the hero's journey, even my dear old mum would still always say, life's got a way of working out. That was her way of saying it, which is the same thing. If you persisted enough.
Do you think you adopted that from her too?
Yeah, of course. Like I could hear that in my ear as well. Like, you know, it's always got a way of working out as long as you're persistent enough, as long as you keep at it and at it and at it. Don't take no, don't settle for second less. Don't cop out and take the easy way out. Because, okay, this is one of the things where it comes back to the what would you call it? The spiritual movement, but the what do they call it? Like when we're talking about the people that are like that. Sorry, pal, it's names completely split.
Are you talking about like the mainstream spiritual belief systems or whatever you want to call it? Yeah,
that's it. like they'll always say, "Oh, take the path of least resistance," and you know what I mean. Like if it's too hard, just take this way. That you know, like because if you take the easy option in life all the time, you get no growth. That's the way to stop your spiritual growth is by the path of least resistance, because that's going to be the path that makes it easier and soft for you. Yeah. Sometimes, I think this is the same in life. You have to make the harder choices and the harder decisions to get the maximum growth.
So what do you think what did you gain through the last 3 years? Like you've done a complete flip to end up, and that kind of is the hero's journey because you've gone back into the ordinary world. You've come back to where you started, but you're obviously not the same person anymore. You really lived it. So what did you gain most out of
appreciation? Appreciation for what I do, and to know who I am, and know that whenever adversity comes up again, it's going to have no effect on me. It can't have any effect on me.
Yeah, and you've built your resilience muscles, haven't you? Yeah.
And
that's like, because I've heard you talk about what's coming up in the future and that. And you have a good understanding of what's going on, but you don't have any fear around it. Like what is your plans for the future personally?
Yeah. Look, I'll just get through day by day. But I know whatever's thrown at me from here on out, I know that everything's going to be okay. Like I don't have to fear that anymore. The worst thing in life that could happen happened.
Yeah.
And I know that I could pick myself up and build it back up, no matter any way that it goes, because I know I can adapt to it. I have the appreciation. I love doing what I do. I love the small things I do every day. But if it's gone in a heartbeat, well, I've already lost it before. I've let go. I don't have the attachment to it anymore.
It's almost like an athlete that when they've accomplished some hurdle in their sport or whatever, they know what's required to get there, and they know they can do it again, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You built that up. Do you want to plug your business or?
Yeah. Okay. Look.
If you want.
Yeah. Well, people that if they want to come visit us, because what I do is I try to set it up as just a place to chill out. It's not really business wise, you know what I mean? Like it's just a place to have a few beers, talk some stuff, and talk some shit, and somewhere for people to sleep. Yeah. So look, the place is called Skippers. It's in Caron Beach in Phuket. So if you want to come down or just pop in for a chat, everyone's always welcome, mate. I love hearing people's stories and having a chat.
Well, I'll keep coming back here when I'm back in. Yeah.
No, you're always welcome, mate.
So do you go back to Australia at all? We obviously you did a couple of years there, but
I haven't been back since.
You don't have a great connection there as far as
look. I've got
any drive to go back.
Yeah, I've got family and stuff. That I've got no real need to, and no pull to go back. Like it's a shame because look, I loved Australia and what it was growing up. I miss that Australia. But I reckon from about 95, 96, it become a different place. And it's just, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. Again, I think it's like two things because it is a bit sad. It's actually very sad what's happened to Australia, but there is there's a beautiful part to it too. And I used to hate this when I lived overseas and that people go, Australians got no culture. I'm like, Australia's got culture, man. If you you don't know your culture when you're living in it. Australia has a very strong culture and a lot of subcultures in Australia, and a lot of I think the old Australian values are great.
They are fantastic.
Obviously, they've molded and conditioned a new uniform kind of culture that they want, and but
man,
you're in a good spot now.
We could talk for hours on that subject alone, mate. That's
tell you what, we might finish it up, but I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, I don't know. Thanks for sharing the story. It's good. It's, I always gain more from hearing people's stories than anything really. Like, I can take in all sorts of information, but just listening to someone's lived experience, and especially someone that's willing, to open up about what they've been through. That's because you said at the start, I'll talk about anything.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I'm an open book. But look, one of the things that I'd like to get across to people, is it comes from you, You can't watch a YouTube video. You can't watch anything out there to help yourself. You actually have to do the work yourself. You can't get the knowledge without the self-work. I did explain to Alicia like how I found this this walking meditation thing that I do.
Yeah, I heard you talk.
I'll do a video on it, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a specific video so it doesn't chew up your time here. But
Yeah, well,
and then
I'll
I'll-
share it when
yeah,
you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that way, because look, it's about working on yourself. That it doesn't take much work. It's like maybe half an hour a day. Go for a walk and listen to yourself. That's it.
And this is your routine you do
Yeah.
every morning?
Every day. And it's a way of finding who and what you are. Once you work out that, everything's easy. So
Yeah. All right. Thanks, brother.
thanks, mate.
It's been
Mate,
very good.
Mate, it's sweet. And I'll tell you what.
No,
mate,
it's actually, I'll just say, yeah, thanks so much for being hospitable to me and my family. And yeah, it's like, you know, when you meet someone straight away, I'm like, no, he's a good bloke. I do straight away. Yeah. So,
but
no, it's been really nice to get
this
to know
guy. This guy is exactly what you see on here is the real bloke's actually a better bloke than what you see on here.
Thanks,
So,
mate.
yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. Yeah, that's it. Thanks again.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate
Cheers,
it.
mate.